Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf and good morning. Got a new bag today, my Renew bag. All my bags are always linked in the descriptions if you want to check them out with some affiliate links, but I decided to pare down my bag a little bit. I took out my Flippy Destroyer because it and my Faro have some overlap. The Faro's definitely flippier, but I don't know the degrees enough yet. So I took a lot of those discs that might confuse me a bit out of my bag and just pared things down. Excited for today. I think my goal today, honestly, is just kind of play with a little bit delusional confidence on every shot. So I'm not super confident with my disc, but once I pick a disc to throw for a shot that I know can do the job, I just need to have the confidence that it will do it and psych myself up for every shot and every putt. I can get into the cash with a ridiculous round today, but it's not likely, so no harm in trying to play really aggressive because worst case scenario, I'll probably shoot the same 950 whatever rated round.
So I'm stepping up to here to hole number 1. Same play as both the other days, just this hyzer around this tree, but today I decided to go with the Firebird because I kind of juiced my honor yesterday. The wind is pushing from the right to the left, so I kind of am trying to take that into account and throw it out a little bit flatter than I typically would. Some of the other discs that you might have seen before that I took out of the bag are going to be like a Glitch, the Sexton Firebird, and maybe just a couple others that I honestly didn't throw very much during the round. This is a fine shot. It's a little bit left side, but I get the distance right, so I'm definitely glad I threw the Firebird. I just kind of messed up on the shot. Also, big shout out to Matt, who's actually, funnily enough, Randy's brother, who's helping me film and do a little bit of caddying for the day. Just pitch up. It's one where, yeah, I could definitely run this, but I don't want to start out with a bogey, and I don't feel confident enough running that, and I could probably get myself into that mindset, but no need to. Kind of fumble that transfer there. Moving on to hole number 2, 746-foot par number 4. I'm throwing my purple Jessica Weiss Echo Star Destroyer, which is kind of a neutral driver where it can flip thrown hard. I throw it on an Anheuser line just to get around that middle tree in the fairway. This is a hole that I birdied the first day and I would love to get again, but my play on the first 3 holes just par, and then starting hole 4, taking the first birdie of the round. Now I'm going around this baseball field basically all the way to where that last light pole is. About 50 feet inside of it is the basket. It's still probably about 300 to 330 feet out. And so I'm going to take my stable Destroyer, not my overstable Calvin guy, but pump it just on a hyzer shot. Unfortunately, the wind was against me today. It's the opposite wind of the first day, which helped me. So this one I had to throw it into slight headwind, pop it a little bit hard, but kind of fights back. Not super happy about it, a little bit nose up, and that's been my miss with these hyzer forehands. Something to definitely work on in field work as I head into my next couple tournaments, but it leaves me with this upshot, which I'm kind of wanting to run, but it's a little bit elevated. My play is just par, so I don't think my body lets me run it. It's one of those where it's maybe if something crazy happens and my body takes over, but I'm really happy with taking a par there. Just going to tap it in and move it into hole number 3, which on the first day, I threw a really good shot, I thought. Threw it into a tree, pitched up and actually missed the pitch up, missed the putt, and took a 4. So I'm really not wanting to make that mistake again. I'm actually going to throw my more stable Strike, which is a 7-speed fairway driver, because there's a little bit of a tailwind. I didn't really turn it over very much, and I didn't mean to. I meant to put it flat, but my flat has been missing on slight hyzer. Out of my hand, I thought it was perfect, which is why I'm a little bit disappointed in that shot, but it drops me down right here where I'm probably about equally as far, if not a little farther than the first day, about 60 feet. But there is a slight headwind, so I say, let's give it a little bit of a bid. And I cashed the first circle 2 putt of the tournament, I believe. I might have made another one before that, but that was a sick putt.
That was because I'm right here.
And it's 100% because Jesse Trash Panda, big shout out to him. He was right there watching, spectating the tournament since he's a Colorado guy. Hole number 4, the first hole that I really want to take the birdie on. I throw my honor just around that middle tree, which lands me with a really good shot. Unfortunately, both the previous days I've missed this hole. So I am par on this hole somehow when it's the easiest hole on the course in my opinion, where I should take 3 birdies. And I finally am able to knock one down. Now, what you might be noticing today is I'm actually going to be straddle putting for the whole entire day. I was practicing putting and realizing that my misses were a little bit less on the height. It just seemed like my chest height was a little bit less variable with it. I still like inline putting and I'm going to continue to work on it, but in tournaments, I guess my body just it knows in these tense moments that I'm a good straddle putter because I was doing that all of last tournament season. Hole number 5 here is a 717-foot par 4 where I'm really just trying to play the wide hyzer because the wind is pushing up the hill, a slight tail left to right. I get a little bit of a skip and I'm really happy with that shot because I was out of bounds one day. I was in a really bad spot one day and just missed an upshot, so I'm over par for the hole for the weekend. I decided to stand up to take the zone upshot because I've not practiced those knee shots. And I kind of softed a little bit, and I really wanted it to get a skip. Got a little bit of a skip, but it left me with probably about a 25-foot putt. We're trying to walk up to every putt, give myself all the confidence that I could possibly get. A little bit left side, but that's what I'm liking about the straddle putt, because for me right now, since I practiced it so much last year, it seems to me that when I miss a putt like I did there, at least like out of my hand, it felt like I missed it, I will still make those putts half the time, which is a really nice place to be. Hole number 6 is a 901-foot par 5, which I have thrown great shots on, both of the approach shots until the last shot every day. So the same play as both the other days, taking the Firebird out this gap on a forehand. The shot looks really ugly coming out of my hand, the way that I'm throwing it, but I'm not mad about it because it puts me into a phenomenal position to just throw another Firebird spike hyzer onto that second landing zone, which is just an island, which we can then push over the next lake to try to get the birdie finally. This is a hole I think I've deserved the birdie all the days, but I've just fluffed my last shot, trying to really correct today. Just barely get it over that tree, but I'm really happy with the spot that this puts me in. Honestly, very similar to yesterday's position. I'm going up to this lie with both the Pathfinder and the Emmy in my hand, ranging to the tree that the basket is right under to about 280 feet. I should have probably taken another second to think about this, but I'm going to go with the Pathfinder here, which I think is honestly a really good call. But because there's a slightly low ceiling, I feel like I have to juice it. And I don't think I realized how wide the OB was on the right side. So I think I throw a perfect shot out of my hand, and I'm actually going to call for it to go in. But it hits the branch that's right above the basket and skips it straight OB. I think it had the opportunity to still go OB without that, but this is devastating. Par save putt. Doink it a little bit, not super happy, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. Luckily, it curls up just in front of the OB line, but I just decided to take a re-putt for my 7 at this point. Barely stick that one over the cage. Really not happy with how that all transpired, but double bogey. Hopefully we're not going to let it dampen the turkey that I had just completed before then. Hole number 7, 360 feet. The wind is pushing off this lake, so I just decided to just pump a hyzer as hard as I can up this hill. It's a little bit of a pump for me at 360 feet uphill, but I wind up just outside the circle, 35 feet. Gonna leave myself with a nice putt that I decide not to step because I didn't really want to ask my card if I was outside the circle. I arranged it after the fact, but I've been really confident about these. The wind is pushing up the hill again, so it's a slight right to left. Really need to account for that. And I softed it a tiny, tiny bit, but because the wind was pushing up the hill and I was playing to that and playing it low, it gets over the basket. Hole number 8 is 333 feet downhill, right past that bush that's in the middle of the fairway. Pretty tight OB to the right and the left, so I'm going to throw my Envy because it's a slight headwind. I push it honestly a little wider and not quite as like penetrating as I wanted it to. And so it hyzers out a little faster than I might like. Not stoked on it, thought it was OB, realizing that there's a tailwind here and I'm just outside the circle. This is something I did a lot today, was just kind of walk up and kind of like that Titanic pose and see what the wind was doing. But I asked my card if this was outside the circle because I wanted to step this one because there's a slight tailwind. I knew I'd be able to get the power to get it over the cage. And I just softed it a little tiny bit. Maybe the tailwind was a little bit more than I thought. Really frustrated at this point because I know my round has been really good and I have the opportunity to get back into the cash, and missing putts like those is taking that away from me. Hole 9, 712-foot par 4. Relatively tight shot off the tee. I've gone OB both of the previous days. I decided to just execute a shot throwing a hyzer with my neutral destroyer because there was a slight tailwind, which is a little bit left to right in some places. I saw a skip there, which made me a little disappointed because I thought I'd had the opportunity to get up and down for the birdie, but I knew that this put me behind like this tree cluster when I saw it skip off the tee. So at this point, I'm trying to decide if I could step out, throw a crazy anhyzer forehand, maybe try to step out to the left side and throw a flex backhand with like a Calvin destroyer or something, but I'm going to make the cultured decision, unfortunately. But real quick, let me explain to you guys, if you don't know what the cash is, when you get into the MPO level of disc golf or FPO, the cash is the top 40% of the field, and they get paid out like in cash. That's just why they call it caching. Sometimes you'll hear amateurs talk about caching. That's normally paid out in scripts or like merchandise credits that you're able to use to buy discs and whatever. But here, trying to get back into the cash, especially at an A tier, would be really great for me because trying to get into that top 40%, which is 42 plus ties in this case, since there's 104 players, is really what I'm trying to do with this round. Sorry that I said that so awkwardly, but I pitch my zone up around that tree and I range about 180 feet to the basket there. Honestly, wanted that zone to push a little bit more to the right to give myself a more open look. But I take out my Birdie Disc Golf Supply Ultra, which is a disc that I've really been liking in that overstable mid-range, and I'm thinking about running it, but the footing at so many places in this course is so awkward, so I decided to just do a nice little standstill skip shot. And I'm going to be honest, that's one of the best shots that I've executed all tournament, from a standstill to just put it under the basket. Really executed my game plan on this hole after that tee shot. And when I was on that hole, I realized there were 2 more holes in the back 9 that I could take par to be confident about cashing, because I thought that I needed to shoot 8 or 9 down in order to make sure that I cashed. Hole 10 here is 359 feet, right behind that big tree, and I just soft my strike. There's a slight headwind left to right, and I think because of that, it got in my head and I softed it when I should have been even more committed to it. I guess I didn't want to flip it up, but that disc isn't going to flip over in that type of wind, especially when I throw it on that much hyzer. So it leaves me with another circle 2 look. And this is one of the holes that I counted that I needed to birdie. Really frustrated at that point because I just not been getting them over the rim. Just that slight lack of commitment. It's that last little commitment that I need to figure out before I play my next couple tournaments, because this round is coming together a lot more like I wanted it to. Just a couple small mistakes there, kind of lost a rangefinder almost at that point, but moves us into hole number 11, which is a 771 foot par 4. And this is one of the holes that I said I could play for par, but because I missed that birdie on the last hole, I really want to birdie this one. So I take my faro and throw a massive shot.
No, get out of it. That was okay. Let's go.
I thought I could have pushed it OB, but there were some guys who watched it who were walking to hole 17 and said that it was a beautiful shot. Unfortunately, even though the shot was beautiful, once we get up to the light, it's right behind this big tree, so I have basically nothing. All I have is this lean out to the left. I'm looking to see if there's a forehand line or something, but I can basically just lean out to the left with a flippy disc and try to make sure that I put enough flat to anhyzer on it to not smack my hands on a tree, not just burn it over into the ground, and also get it up about 180, 200 feet to the basket. So I was going to throw the origin there, but I set that to the side for my flippiest heat, which is an ESP Swirl Heat, Legendstone 2020 edition. Threw what I thought was a really good shot, but I just didn't quite give it enough turn. You're going to see some disappointment there, kind of in a very theatrical way, because that is OB where I had gone out. Luckily, it was OB close enough to the basket that I will have a putt to save par. And I'm able to make that happen, so I'm really stoked about that. Even though I've gone OB twice today, so far, I've been able to save par once, and one of them cost me way too many strokes. Hole number 12 here, 382 with my Firebird. I just throw it straight. And if you watch where I was aiming my body during that throw, you'll see that I was just aiming it straight instead of aiming it where I needed to make this island. This is another one similar to hole number 3 that I was like, there's a slight headwind. I'm just going to loft it up there where it's probably going to be a layup, but if it stays up and gets into the chains, I'm happy. We took our bogey and are trying to get out of there. And at this point, I'm looking at the scorecard, and I'm seeing that before hole 13, which is 735 foot par 4, which I've thrown OB on both the previous days off the drive, I need to basically birdie out, maybe only parring one hole upcoming to basically give myself a good chance of cashing, but I need to try to birdie out. So I throw my neutral destroyer, honestly a little bit too nose up, but I make sure to turn it enough that I get to the big side of the fairway so that I can set down in the middle of the fairway and give myself a look up for the birdie. I'm about 380 feet to the basket, slightly downhill. I'm deciding to take either my neutral destroyer or my overstable destroyer and throw a forehand, because over to the right side, there's actually a big like OB patch of weird tall grass. So I'm going to take my overstable, or my stable destroyer, not my overstable Calvin guy. And because the wind is slight head left to right, I kind of have to put a little hyzer, but I throw it a little bit too nose up, and I am very scared at this point. A part of me thinks I juiced it so hard that it's just going to get to the basket, but my rational side of my brain knows I didn't. And that tree actually saved me massively, because that was headed straight for the OB. Instead, it drops me down here with a 35-foot look for the birdie. And into a ripping headwind, I somehow am able to make that putt happen. I'm so stoked. That is the best putt of my tournament so far, I think. Maybe with the exception of hole number 3 in this tournament. But that leads us into the par 5 here, 793 feet. I'm thinking, let me just mash on my faro and maybe give myself a look to get into eagle position. I pull it a little bit more right than I wanted because I want to get left with that. But this still puts me into a great position in order to birdie, where I basically can either decide to try to go for the eagle, but I'm going to make the smart play and just pitch up a zone to the next landing zone to try to get up this middle tunnel for the birdie. Now this tunnel from where I'm at is about 270 feet to the basket, slightly uphill. So I could throw a putter and definitely get it there, but it's a slightly low ceiling in a couple places. So I want to throw a mid instead and just mash it into the hill. Unfortunately, I'm going to throw a really good shot out of my hand where it still gets a decent bit of distance, but as you're going to see again in a second, I slipped at my run up right here, and that back foot just really slipped out of the way, leading me to throw this basically into the ground, where I had a putt for the birdie, but it's from about 60 whatever feet. It's pretty far. I tried to step out to the right, see if there's a way, but I'm out here to the left with the stepper. Really happy with the height that I was able to give that from that lie. Disappointed that I wasn't able to execute that shot a little bit better. Maybe I should have practiced my run up a little bit more, but that's the one hole now that I cannot birdie on this back nine and feel like I can still cash, or at least give myself the opportunity to do everything in my power. Hole number 15 is 288 foot par 3. I'm 1 over for the tournament so far, meaning I got a par and a birdie. This one I tell myself, just throw it a little bit more right in the gap, and you probably won't be able to see it very well, but I had an ace line that hit some trees that parked the hole. So very happy with that, taking it out of the chains. Got one of the last 4 birdies that I felt like I needed to shoot 6 down, which I feel like is getting me close enough to the cash. Hole 16, 246. Yesterday threw a beautiful shot with my strike and kind of replicated that, except did it a little bit better, keeping it even lower. Really slow shot, meaning that that skip isn't gonna like continue to skip, and it puts me even closer to the basket, this time about 15 feet. Just make sure that I'm a little more committed to the putt than I was yesterday. And we put it straight in the middle of the chains, moving us on to hole number 17, which is a hole that I've definitely been playing pretty well on. Birdied the first day, parking it. Second day, doinked a putt. Third day, let's park it with a Pathfinder on a turnover. Really happy with that shot out of my hand. Clips a little bit of a tree right there, which probably slows it down a bit, but it puts me to 20 feet. That should be easy putt, and we should only really have to worry about hole number 18 here to get our 4 down on the back 4 and really give ourselves the best position that we can to make sure that we cash. And unfortunately, I just doinked the putt off the cage. Really frustrated about that. I did not fully commit to it. There was someone who started talking right as I started my putting motion. They're on a different fairway. That should not get in my head. It's definitely just a missed putt. Hole 18, 858, par 5. I don't think I can eagle it. I don't think I have the power, but I try to just mash on my faro, slight hyzer flip up this hill, try to get into the perfect landing zone to go for the eagle. Unfortunately, I leave it a little bit low. I really want to be about 80 feet further to the left from where I am, but I'm throwing my strike again, my more stable one, the color glow one, just putting myself into a really good landing position to try to get up and take the birdie and get 3 of the last 4, because there might be a chance that that gets me into the cash, but with the course playing maybe slightly easier today than it has on a couple other days, by like maybe 1 stroke or 2, it's probably not going to happen. But if I throw this in or get the birdie, there's still the opportunity. Tell my zone to settle, and it does, and it leaves me with a 20-foot putt to finish the round. Really just testing the wind, because it was a slight wind that was coming. I honestly don't even remember what this wind was. It was swirling all day, I was going to say, but I couldn't even see where that grass went. So trying to just reset, focus my mind, and just drill the center of the cage to get this final birdie. I definitely meant to just say chains there, not cage, but that leaves us with a 5-down round with a lot of mistakes that I feel like I left 5 or 6 strokes out on the course, at least just for making stupid mistakes or missing stupid putts. My 3 goals for this tournament, if you guys remembered, were to cash, which unfortunately I didn't do. That putt on 17 would have brought me into the cash. I would have been tied for 42nd, which would have been in the cash. Oh man. I can blame that putt and think about that putt all day long, but it's the last 2 rounds. It's the other putts that I missed. It's missing the island on hole 12 or whatever. It's all these things together, but that one putt I knew I needed to make, and if I would have gotten into the cash. But 5 down here leaves me with a 1,004 rated round so far. So first 1,000 rated round of the year comes in my first tournament, just 3 rounds back. Really stoked on that, and my other 2 goals were to never give up. I don't know if I can say that. I think for the tournament, yes. In each specific round, no, because there was a point in the second round that I definitely gave up for 5 holes. But my last one was to have a round that I'm proud of. And even though there's so many mistakes being made here, I think I'm definitely proud of this round. To have a 1,000 rated plus round on my first tournament back, even though there's so many things I know I can do better, if I don't let myself be proud when it's not the perfect round for me, what am I even doing? Because I'm going to have like one of those every year. So excited for the momentum to lead into the next tournament. I really noticed that the difference in attitude that I had playing for birdies instead of playing to just not embarrass myself or to stay safe was significantly different, because I have the skills to get the birdies. Obviously, I got more birdies this round than I did the previous 2, and the wins were not different than the first round. Like, they were in different directions, but not different in terms of intensity. The second round, first round was crazy. But I have all these skills, so I need to rely on them and be shooting for birdies, because when I got pars today, I was frustrated in the same way that I got bogeys the next day, and my score reflects a very different thing with the same level of frustration. So just focusing on getting more birdies instead of pars, I'm really happy with. Super stoked on this. If you guys haven't caught the first 2 rounds and you want to go see some scrappy golf, go ahead and check them out right down there. I appreciate you guys so much for watching these videos and subscribing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do same day again after this week. Who knows? I'm a workaholic. I might do it. But it definitely has been a lot. Just playing, coming home, trying to relax, and then edit, and then get the video up. So either way, I am so appreciative of you guys coming along this journey. First of many rounds to come. For the tournament, I averaged 971, I think it said, which is right in line with where I was at the end of last year. But my bottom rated rounds were significantly better. My floor definitely seems to be around that 950, and I have not even played to my ceiling yet, because if I did, I probably would have been closer to about the 1020, 1030 rated round. So hopefully we can get one of those soon and continue to average higher and higher in each subsequent tournament. Super stoked for what's to come. I'm going to cash the next one. Watch those videos. Do whatever you want. Go to sleep, probably. If you're watching this as it comes out, go to bed. Unless you're in, like, New Zealand or Europe. No, you better be in bed if you're in Europe. You kidding me? It's like 5 a.m. Unless you're early riser. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm tired. It's been a long 3 rounds trying to not give up. But we did it. One stroke out of the cash. 1. I'm happy with that comeback. Okay. I love you guys.